Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Raising Rein Season 2. A special shout out to everyone who's been with us since Season 1. If you're new here, welcome to Raising Rein. Grab a seat. We're about to drop some wisdom. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our YouTube. If you're listening to us on Spotify, please make sure to subscribe and also share this with your friends and also your haters. It does make a difference. So on today's episode, we'll be exploring the title of Body, Mind, and Milk, Postpartum Realities. And I'm joined by a very interesting guest who I'm going to let introduce herself shortly. But before she does that, like I said, we have a new segment on the show. It's called the Did You Know segment. And today we are asking, did you know that postpartum recovery doesn't end at 6 weeks? Even though that's when most mothers are expected to be okay. Did you know that hormones after birth can affect mood, memory, libido, and identity sometimes for months or even years? And did you know that many mothers feel unprepared for what happens to their bodies, minds after birth because we rarely talk about it honestly? And finally, today we are talking about body, mind, and milk and the postpartum reality every parent deserves to understand. And today we are joined on the show by Esther, who I will now let introduce herself.
Hi. How are you? My name is Esther Kimani, or popularly known as Esther the Doula. I am a maternal and healthcare specialist. Basically, I work with parents from when they want to conceive, during the pregnancy, and during the postpartum period. A doula is that person who walks with you, who offers not only emotional and physical support, but also helps you navigate that journey that can be quite challenging sometimes. And, that person who you can turn to when everything just seems like it's not going okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Esther, for agreeing to be on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I've really been looking forward to this.
Thank you for having me.
Like I said, guys, I told you it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
So we'll just dive right in.
Mm-hmm.
So Esther, before we get into the work you do, tell us a little about yourself and who you were before you became a doula.
Oh, very, very interesting question. So before I did this, I was a teacher first, and then I practiced as a HR practitioner. And then I got pregnant. And in those days, my daughter is 19 now. So in those days, there was no, you got pregnant, you got advice from everyone. And then you went to hospital, and then you got your baby. But when I got my daughter, everything that could possibly go wrong, did during my journey. I was on bed rest for most of the pregnancy. And it was a very lonely journey because, you're just told, suck it up and, keep moving. And then my daughter was born, and the birth itself was very traumatic. And then my daughter couldn't breastfeed. And it was just this journey that was very difficult. And I remember when things settled down, after my baby came home and things kind of settled down, I remember thinking, I don't think this is how motherhood was meant to be. Who's walking with me? I feel lost. I feel like I don't know what's going on. And that's when I quit my job. My dad was not amused.
I can imagine.
Because I told him I want to quit because at that point, my greatest challenge was breastfeeding. And I want to quit because I learned over the internet, there were people like lactation consultants. So I was like, I want to become that. And he was like, what? People breastfeed? What are you talking about? And that's where my journey. So I quit my job, actually went back to school and recreated. Now I would call it my second career.
Wow.
So I have been doing this for about 17 years now. And it's been the most amazing roller coaster journey of my life. And I totally, totally love it. I count the babies. I have walked with over 10,000 babies in those 17 years. And so it's been exciting to just see how much we can change just by having proper support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds exceptional. 10,000. Wow.
I know. And that was 2025. So I haven't counted the 2026 one.
So there's more.
There's more.
Thank you so much, Esther. That sounds like the work you're doing sounds like it's very rewarding, but at the same time, it's very challenging.
Yeah.
Because I imagine working with moms and children cannot be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you so much for offering that support.
Yeah, you're welcome. I love it. Yeah.
Okay. So what was your first exposure? I think you've answered that through the story. Yeah. What has working so closely with mothers taught you about women that you didn't know before?
I think what hits me is the capacity of what women can actually go through. Like the strength that I didn't know I had, but even they don't know that they have. I think growing up, yes, I'm a firstborn. And so, everything you do housework.
You're the second mom.
Yeah, I'm the second deputy mom.
Yeah,
that's my siblings call me. And so you do all those things, but until you enter the childbirth space, I think that's when women, there's just something deep within them that has that capacity to just endure a lot and to be able to see even moms that, I find moms would tell me, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm the laziest person who's going to wake up in the middle of the night to breastfeed this little one.
I was that mom.
You were that mom, and they tell me, oh, I can't do it. And then the baby comes and even they are shocked. This baby will wake up 30 times at night and I happily wake up and take care of them. Or they go through some of the greatest traumas in birth and after, and they still rise up with such strength. And so that's what has shocked me, that the amazing strength that women have, it's always never ceases to amaze me.
Yeah. I think that for me too. I was like, wow, I didn't know I had it in me, but here I am doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
For people who may be hearing, I think you've also answered what a doula does. Would you like to expound on that? Or?
Yes, I would love to. So a doula is and there's a lot of confusion between a doula and a midwife.
Okay.
A midwife is a medical practitioner who is trained in bringing forth and supporting mothers during birth, and so they offer medical support. A doula, on the other hand, and many midwives play both roles.
Okay.
They can play both roles. But when you are a doula, you have to step out of the medical mindset, if you are a medic, and offer non-medical support. So we are not saying that they don't have information about medical. They actually study and understand the pregnancy birth process.
Okay.
But that's why they are supposed to step out, because you're supposed to offer this mom information in a way that they understand, but also be able to offer advocacy, be an advocate for them, but be able also to support them in a way that they feel more like you're not offering medical support. Because once you become a medical, the mom now, there's a cap that a mom places you at.
Yeah.
It's more, you have a medical authority over them.
Yeah.
So they cannot relax. They cannot be able to actually open themselves up. And that means that they will not be able to feel the support that you're offering. So a doula is supposed to offer non-medical support, both physical, emotional, spiritual, it's a journey through, and be able to reach the mom's psyche so that they feel that enveloped hug. A doula word comes from the Greek word word that means mother helper or mother servant.
Wow.
So you're supposed to serve the mother and help the mother feel like, give them confidence in their journey.
Okay.
So when a lot of times moms feel like, I had a doula, but she didn't help me. And then I'm like, oh, so what was happening? Oh, she was checking the baby. She was doing a vaginal check. Then at that point, she wasn't being a doula because then the mom can't relax. She can't feel like you're offering that support.
Yeah.
So yes, that's what a doula is. So we walk with them through their journey until the postpartum period for as long and as much as they need us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've learned that today. I didn't know.
Yeah.
See, I told you we'd be serving wisdom today.
Yeah.
Also, I think you've answered this one as well because it asks what role does a doula play that doctors and midwives might not.
Yes.
When people hear the word postpartum, what should they really understand it means?
So postpartum starts when the baby is born. We almost, because like labor and birth is divided into several stages. So we've got the first stage, which is from when you go into labor to when the baby comes. Then we've got the second stage, which is when you're pushing out the baby. Then we've got the third stage, which is basically when you deliver the placenta and basically go through that process if there's any repair work to be done. And then we have the fourth stage, which is basically when postpartum starts, when now you start breastfeeding, lactation starts, you initiate breastfeeding, and that continues on until it can be as long.
Yeah.
Like it takes a long time. I keep telling moms that it took you 40 weeks to bring forth a baby. And it might take that long for you to actually get back to where you are before. So yeah, that's the postpartum period.
Yeah, true.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like you said it takes 40 weeks to bring forth a baby, and it might take even those 40 weeks to recover.
Yeah.
But like we said, we read in the Did You Know segment, they say that you're supposed to get back to yourself by 6 weeks.
Yes.
But that's crazy.
Yes.
6 weeks is
You
too
are
little.
just getting to, you're just starting out. You're just starting out, just getting to a place where basically what happens at 6 weeks is that the pregnancy hormones. Now, in pregnancy, the placenta is responsible for all the pregnancy hormones. And once the placenta comes out, then there's now a switch in the hormones and how the body is producing its hormones. So at 6 weeks, it's just when the pregnancy hormones have completely left the body, but yet there's now this new reality for your brain.
Yeah.
You're breastfeeding. So there's the physical aspects. You are just starting out. Maybe you still look pregnant. Possibly you still look about maybe 5 months pregnant. You're still figuring out breastfeeding. At that point, at 6 weeks, most babies are going through what we call a growth spurt and a mental leap. So they are still very fussy and still trying to figure out. Sometimes they are gassy, so they are not sleeping well. And so there's so much going on at 6 weeks that we cannot possibly say that you can be back to yourself. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
And so it is, and I think it's a very simplified way, because most times you'll go and you'll be told, okay, now at 6 weeks, you can also get pregnant again. So you can go back so they're assuming you'll be able to go back to your sexual life and all that stuff. But in my experience, I find very few women who are ready to get back there at 6 weeks.
True.
Yeah.
I can attest to that. For me, when I was pregnant, it was my first baby. So I had no experience. And when I was leaving work for my maternal leave, I was like, I'll be back by 6 weeks. I'll be back by 6 weeks. Because I'd read in a book that by 6 weeks, you start feeling like yourself again, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Before the 6th week, I just wrote an email and I was like, guys, I lied. I can't do it. I can't come back at 6 weeks. So 6 weeks is crazy. And it's good to know that although they say that's the recommended, in reality, I don't feel like that's very realistic.
Yes. Yeah, true.
So why do you think so many mothers feel unprepared for what happens after birth?
First of all, is because one of the things, part of what I do is that I am a childbirth educator. I am what we call an LCCE, which is a Lamas Childbirth Educator Certified. And what we do is we prepare and talk about, offer classes that start right from when you're pregnant. And in those classes, we will talk about birth and labor and birth, but we also talk about the postpartum and breastfeeding and prepare you. I think the single most reason why people really struggle is the lack of information, the lack of having classes or information preparing them for what is coming. A lot of people prepare for labor and birth, but it stops there. So when you get pregnant, you already start thinking about labor and birth. How do I want my birth to be? I have a birth plan. Where am I going to have the baby? But it ends there. When we talk about childbirth education, we go beyond and say, now, yes, we are very happy to prepare you for labor and birth. But what happens after? What do you expect? How does a newborn behave? Because I think that's one of the shockers. How does a newborn behave? And what is the norm? How do you prepare yourself for that? When you mentally prepare for something in any part of life, when you mentally prepare for something, when it actually happens, first of all, you're not shocked. But already during the classes, we start offering you tools that you can use to help you navigate that space. We start helping you prepare a postpartum plan. Just the same way you prepare a birth plan, you need to prepare a postpartum plan.
That's a new term for me. I've heard so much about a birth plan, but a postpartum plan? That's new.
That's new,
learning something.
You need a postpartum plan. What's going to happen? This is how a newborn behaves. And because this is how a newborn behaves, how do we navigate this place? How do we navigate if you have your husband, your partner? What can he do to ease off this part? And now when we talk about postpartum, because fathers are, I always mention fathers, even though we talk about mothers, fathers are also part and parcel of this process. And the fathers of nowadays are very, very involved. So how are we going to also protect them? Because now we know there's postpartum mood disorders for fathers. So we need to protect. Oh, you didn't know that? It's become quite common now. And so even when I go to visit at home as a doula, the father is part and parcel of this process because they're very, very involved. And so they are actually also getting postpartum mood disorders. So we need to protect their space. We need this education for them. So this plan, how are we going to navigate the sleep where newborns wake up every 2 to 3 hours? What are we going to eat? Nutritious foods that help with the healing. How are we going to, every single part of it, we go through it depending on your own schedule. And so that helps you become more prepped. So when now baby comes, it's much easier because you have a plan ready. I think what makes it so hard is when everything is, I walk into a home and you would think a tornado passed through. There are dishes full in the sink. There are clothes everywhere. There are dirty diapers on the floor. There's so much chaos. And what happens to our brain when we see chaos? It actually makes us feel worse. You feel out of control. And so having that balance helps you actually navigate through the crazy, crazy, crazy times of the newborn stage.
Wow, interesting. So guys, it's as you prepare for your birth plan, also prepare for a postpartum plan. You know what they say, postpartum is the hardest. Like carrying the pregnancy to term, that's a breeze. Depending on how your pregnancy is, sometimes that's a breeze. But now reality hits when the baby gets here. And if you're not well prepped, then that's like how postpartum depression comes into the picture, or anxiety, or all these things. And thank you, Esther, for bringing that to light, having a postpartum plan. So from the mothers you support, what are some things women struggle with but feel afraid to say out loud?
So many things. And some of them is, like when that little one is placed in your arms the very first time, I think even from my experience, my first thought, like, who thought it was a good idea to have another human being? Like, you're giving me to be responsible for another human being. So I think that is one of the greatest challenge that moms get. They look at this baby, the cutest person you've ever seen and you love them to death, but you're so afraid. Like, are you going to keep them alive? That question, moms really worry about that. That's why you'll find moms going to put their, their hand near the babies,
when they're sleeping, just to make
are
sure.
they still breathing, So keeping the baby alive is one big challenge. When we come to breastfeeding, there's always a worry, like, do I have enough milk for my baby? Do I have, like, am I gonna sustain this? Especially when babies look like they're not feeling full. And which is possibly just, it's a perceived it's a perceived thing, like you don't have enough milk because of how the baby is behaving. And so there's that challenge, like, that's a big one. Do I have enough milk for this baby? Will I be able to sustain this milk, this baby feeding? And especially because of society, guys, let's just stop telling moms, you have a boy. You're just sang. Oh, boys will
finish you.
Will finish you. And so already, and when you're pregnant and you say you're having a boy, already this thought has been placed in your mind that will I make milk? Trust me, our bodies. I have a mom right now with triplets. She's feeding her 3 boys exclusively. So it's very, very possible to have enough milk. You just need the confidence and do the work. You have to put in the work, but yes, it's very, very possible to have that milk. So there's that aspect. Then the other one is, of course, our looks. Oh,
they tell you once you have a baby, it's done.
It's done. So you are, like, your boobs are 5 times the size. Your clothes are spilling out. You're having to eat well to feed your baby.
True.
You thought like your that pregnancy pot will go, but it's hanging around. So of course our confidence is shattered, especially in fact, I keep saying it's from without. That challenge comes from without, because also you go onto social media, you see somebody who gave birth last week,
and their tummy looks,
they're snug and fitting, and you're like, wait,
Queenie, what did I do
me?
wrong?
I look like I'm still 7 months pregnant, So there's a lot of that as well, in terms of how we feel. We feel like, okay. And then also senses of inadequacy. Like, will I be able to raise a good human being in the future? And so there's a lot of that. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. It's good to know that it's not just me who goes through all these things. There's other women out there who experience the same thing.
Yeah.
And it seems from what you said, most of it is just external influence and also your mental.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
What are some signs that what a mother is experiencing might need professional support?
Okay. So there's about 4 or 5 days after delivery, postpartum, there's usually what we call the blues. And the blues is basically, there's a crush. There's a big crush. As I said, the placenta is now no longer there. So those hormones have been suddenly withdrawn. And let me tell you, the brain loves being pregnant. When you're pregnant, you are optimal. Your heart, your lungs, your blood volume is times 2.
Wow.
The liver, the kidneys, they are so efficient. And because they want to keep the baby alive. So everything works like an well-oiled machine. And then the hormones, and that's because of the hormones. And then the hormones are withdrawn. The brain is like, Allah,
what happened?
It was so cool. I had everything. Come back. That's what the brain is feeling. And so because of that chemical change, there's a crash. So you feel teary. You'll feel like you can't do this. You'll feel overwhelmed. And usually moms at that point, that's when you'll find them crying, I can't do this. They feel really low. But that doesn't last for long because there's a balance. There's some balancing that happens, and then moms go back to what they are. So it lasts for about a day or 2, and then they're okay. But now if those feelings do not subside after a few days, then we think, okay, there's something else. So signs that a mom is not doing very well could be either she doesn't want anything to do with the baby, or it could be the other extreme where now she doesn't want anyone else to touch the baby. It's like, I'm the only one. So she doesn't sleep. She's basically just constantly of like looking at the baby, almost obsessed.
Yeah.
So both extremes are danger signs to watch out for. She's not taking care of herself at all. Even moms, even though they're tired and whatever, you find a mom will wake up, brush her teeth, like shower and all that.
The little things.
The little things that make you feel human. Now the other extreme where she doesn't do it. She's just, you
wants
go
to sleep all
the time, doesn't shower, doesn't eat, and she has no appetite at all. She's not able to eat. Or the other hand, she can't stop eating. Like so both extremes are there.
Okay.
She's not interested in the baby at all, and you find like when you need to feed the baby, she's trying to get out of it. So all those are signs that things might not be going well. And as we go now deeper into the disorder, it's how she talks. I found once a mom, and I'm happy to share because she told me I can share. She was looking out of the window and she was like, I wonder what will happen if I just jumped,
Yeah.
So that's a danger sign.
Yeah.
She's having suicidal thoughts. So thoughts to either harm the baby or harm herself. Or harm her other children if she has other children. So all those are danger signs.
Okay.
And it's important to seek help. Medical help. There's such stigma, and that's why moms keep quiet because they're like, maybe I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
Because they're having these thoughts and they're not talking and they're like, maybe I'm going crazy. You're not going crazy. It's just the inability of your brain to balance those chemicals we talked about. So please seek help. So you would go back to your gynecologist or your OBGYN, and they will be able to either deal with it or they'll get a multidisciplinary team that involves maybe a psychologist, a counselor, family therapy to be able to help you go through it. Some cases need medication. Some just need talk therapy. So it's trying to see how do we help this mom, but it's a medical thing. You need to go back to your doctor. You're not going mad. And the early intervention is very, very important to be able to help this mom. Support. And I'm sure we'll talk about more about support, but that's a big thing in terms of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Feeding can be a very emotional topic for mothers. Why is that?
So breastfeeding is, when we talk about feeding our children, our babies, it's a biological thing. It's hormonal. There are two hormones involved, prolactin and oxytocin. And oxytocin is a feel-good hormone, right? And so when we are feeding our babies, the brain is involved. There's this chemical changes that happen and these hormonal changes that happen to actually create milk. Prolactin in the body makes milk. And then we have oxytocin, which squeezes the milk out of the breast so that the baby can actually feed. So you're looking at a mom who's not having enough sleep because newborns actually need to feed every 2 to 3 hours because their tummy are the size of a grape at birth, and they grow but not very big. And so babies feed often. So you're talking to someone who's not had a lot of sleep. You're talking to someone who has a lot of pressure from society. We need to breastfeed. Right from when you give birth, you're told, hey, breastfeed this baby.
Yeah.
So there's both internal and external pressure. And then, of course, there's the actual, sometimes misunderstanding how a newborn behaves. The way I was saying, you have a boy.
Yeah.
Boys never Shiba, from breast milk. So all those. So all that combination of things really, really, really make a mom very emotional. Even from stuff like the comments, like, oh, you have such small boobs. Do you think,
will you feed your baby
with those ones? Yeah. So there's a lot of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some realities of breastfeeding that people don't talk about enough?
So one of the realities is that this is my favorite quote when I talk to all parents, is that breast milk is biological and it's natural. Breastfeeding is not. The act of breastfeeding is learned both by the mother and the baby. The mom has to learn the skill, number one, to attach the baby to the breast. Number two, to be able to get to a place where she comfortably places the baby and breastfeeds her baby. The baby, on the other hand, is born with a reflex. That one is natural. The reflex, the sac reflex is there,
Okay.
But this sac reflex is stimulated and it improves over time. Meaning the baby first learns, I keep equating it to like, you can have a gift to paint. You can be an artist, right? A gift to sing. But how do you become a great artist? You go to school, you practice and practice and practice.
True.
And soon you are this big artist or big pianist or whatever. So the gift is there. So that's the reflex. But the more the baby breastfeeds and practices, then they get the skill. So that's why I say breastfeeding is a skill that's learned by both mama and baby. But breast milk is natural. It will be there. It will be made and baby will be able to get out. So there's a way that you attach the baby that optimizes exchange of milk from the breast to the baby. So you can have a baby on the breast, and we've seen those. Then the baby is taken to hospital because suddenly they're dehydrated. But the mom says, I've been breastfeeding. I promise. Because now they're being told, you've not been feeding this child. I have. This baby is on the boob the whole day. But there was not good milk exchange. I think that's the biggest misconception that people don't understand. And that's why, like, when we talk about lactation support professionals, they're actually there to help you optimize this experience, to teach you, to take this baby. And when we talk about the baby's mouth, the anatomy of the baby's mouth matters. How the mama's breast is matters. Some moms have what we call inverted nipples. That's a nipple that's actually not out. How the way we support that mom is different from one whose nipple is an outie, right? So there's that aspect. Like, what's mama's anatomy like? How do we connect mama's anatomy with baby's mouth and connect them together to optimize breastfeeding? So there's much, much more. It's actually a process. And what moms think is that I will just go to hospital, and that's part of the postpartum. They don't prepare for it. So I'll go to hospital, I'll be given the baby, boop, the images we see, put the baby, and they will breastfeed. But most of us see these babies at 6 weeks, and that's when people start going out. So by then the baby has learned, has become more skillful. So you just see choop, put the baby on the boob, and they're feeding. Good. And we think that that's how it is, So it's important to prep. That's what we're talking about classes before. And then already at the beginning, work with someone if you can. Look, read, educate yourself. How do we optimize this feeding between me and my baby? How do I attach my baby? The other thing that's a big misconception is that how the baby's behavior. Like, we think like, I'll feed the baby and then they sleep for 3 hours. That's not it. Babies do more of what we call clusters of feed. When we say feed on demand, it's being you following the baby. So when I go feed my baby might want to feed after 30 minutes. And I again equate it to us. I don't know why we expect babies to feed differently from us as adults. So if from when I woke up, I took breakfast. I think an hour later, I took some water. And then I was like, I need a coffee. And then, so between morning, within 3 hours, I've actually taken much more. That's exactly how babies feed. They'll do a feed, then they'll be like, I'm thirsty. And did you know your breast milk has enough water? The first part of milk is called formilk, and it actually contains water.
Wow.
And so the baby comes for a short time. The baby was just thirsty. Then again, they'll come in because they're like, I could have a snack. Then sometimes they have long feeds on the boob. Babies behave like us. So relax into it. Feed your baby on demand, meaning follow the baby. And that's how you make milk. Because my other misconception is people's belief that what you eat, that's how you make milk. Nope.
Wow, it's not. I myself am on that category. Like
what I eat. So people call me and they're like, Esther, I don't have milk. And I've eaten. They list the things they've been eating.
Kwanza njahe. Yes. For Kikuyus, they brought njahes, and that's uji, the big
jerrycan. Yeah, so they're like, I've eaten all those. And I went to hospital. I was told my baby has not added weight. What's going on? The purpose of yes, you need to eat well. Eat a balanced diet that is higher actually in protein rather than starches. That uji is just starch.
Yeah.
So you need higher protein because that's what the body utilizes to actually break down to make milk. But you do need a balanced diet from starches to proteins to fruits and vegetables to fats, healthy fats. You need all that.
Okay.
But that does not replace what is important. What is important is, we call them the 3 B's: baby, breast, and brain. So the baby is the stimulus. How the brain works. The baby is a stimulus. So the baby comes to the breast and starts to suck. And as they suck, around the dark part of your breast, there are receptors there. And what they do is they send signals to the brain to tell the brain, make milk. So these two hormones I talked about make milk. And then milk goes to the breast. The breast is just kind of a store that now moves to the baby. So you see, it's a circuit. So if, for example, you're not feeding your baby often, you're there, you've given a bottle, you've let the baby sleep. That means the baby, if you give a supplementary feed like infant formula, for example, the baby gets full. The baby is not coming to the boob.
Yeah.
And the baby is the stimulus.
Yeah.
So it's like when you have a factory
Yeah.
and you have a customer.
Yeah.
The factory will only produce orders as much as the customer
Yeah.
is placing. Yes.
I remember at the hospital, the first week of breast, I was supposed to take the baby back after the first week.
Yeah.
And they were like, are you breastfeeding the baby? And I'm like, yes, I am breastfeeding the baby.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I have enough milk.
Yeah.
And the nurse told me production meets demand.
Yes.
So if the demand is there, you're going to make milk.
Exactly.
But if the demand is not there, then
yes. So prioritize feeding your baby on demand as often as possible.
Okay.
I say unlimited access to the breast. That's how you make milk.
Yeah.
If you do that and then you eat well, and eating well does not mean eating for 2. We eat for 1. We still want moms to be healthy. I find moms adding 30 kilos after delivery.
That was me. I added a whole 20 kgs.
Imagine.
But mostly because I was so hungry. Oh my God, I used to be so hungry and I used to eat a lot.
So do you know, a lot of times the hunger is coming from thirst.
Oh yeah.
It means you're not drinking enough. So drink for 2, but eat for 1.
Okay.
If you drink for 2, you'll find you're not as hungry.
Okay.
But you eat well. Eat a good meal, balanced, the 3-4 meals with snacks in between, but you drink a lot. You actually drink for 2.
Okay.
You drink a lot, then you'll be okay. And porridge is not a drink, people. Porridge, oh my God, how many calories if you take 3-4 liters of porridge a day?
Yeah.
No, just drink water, drink other fluid soups and all that, but drink for 2.
All right.
And then now just put the baby on the breast as often as you can and you'll be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Esther. This is so informative. What would you say to a mother who feels guilty because feeding didn't go the way she expected?
Number 1 is that be kind to yourself. Be very, very kind to yourself.
Okay.
And I also speak to the people around this mom. Be kind to the mom. I see these comments a lot. And whether from the medical space or from society or from even family and friends, when they tell the mom, these moms of Gen Zs, you don't want to breastfeed, you want to keep your figure. The moms really get hurt. Because they're like, I have never met a mom whose instinct is not to offer the very best to the baby.
Yeah.
So when they're saying that, sometimes you don't even know why. Sometimes they've had breast surgery because of one reason or the other. Yeah. Sometimes they have anatomical issues that have a problem. Sometimes you have a condition that makes you not be able to breastfeed. Sometimes you have other things. There's also what we call trauma. We've had people who've had sexual trauma, rape, and all those stuff. Sometimes they're unable to breastfeed because that triggers a depressive attitude or an anxiety attack. Just because of that, maybe they haven't worked through it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons when I talk to people before, we go through these things. Have you gone through this trauma before? Because that makes me know that we might have a problem later. So there's so much that comes into breastfeeding that is because it's part of your brain. It's coming from your brain. It's not just poop. place the baby on the breast. So there's so much of it that comes, and that guilt, sometimes already the mom is hitting herself. So when us as a society hit back, that's a problem. And so that actually increases the guilt and makes the mothers more inefficient or not as able to take care of their baby. So be kind to yourself. Talk through. I cannot emphasize how important talk therapy is. Whether you're talking to a counselor. In fact, for me, I say, in this country, there's spaces that actually offer free talk therapy. Even if you can't afford, they can do it over the phone. We've got a money counseling center. They have, there's spaces like those. So everyone should actually have a way to go through talk therapy.
Thank you, Amani. You said Amani?
Counseling Center is
Amani
one of
Counseling
the ones.
Center. Or you can just
Churches.
Google.
Just Google if you need to talk to someone, because sometimes it's not enough just feeling guilty. That spirals you. So seek help and talk to someone. It helps.
And it's okay to seek help, guys. It's okay. What are some simple ways mothers can care for their bodies and minds during postpartum?
Okay. So even though babies don't sleep much, they still sleep. So, and people say, oh, I've been told to sleep when the baby sleeps. Me, I can't sleep during the day. I'm like, imagine you can, because you're tired. It's just that you have to plan for it. So like some of the places, sometimes when I go as a doula to the home, I'm like, oh, can I see where you guys sleep? I'm like, the curtains are letting too much light in. So maybe you can get blackout, a blackout curtain that when you close, they recreate that darkness. Put your phone away. Because now when the babies are asleep, you're like, okay, let me catch up. Let me catch up on Instagram, WhatsApp. And then before you know it, the baby's woken up. So switch off that phone, put it away, just enter bed. Because you're tired, you'll actually be able to sleep. And did you know that nature is amazing? When you are breastfeeding, nature actually kind of reduces melatonin, the hormone for sleep. And so you find like if you sleep for 2 hours, you feel like you slept through the night. You feel fresh.
Wow.
Before, if you are told you sleep for 2 hours and
it's not enough.
There's not enough. But let me tell you, the brain supports that process. So you find like if you go to bed and you sleep, then you're like, okay, I am being able to sleep. And then exercise. And it's mild exercise. Take a walk around, take a walk every day. Even if it's a 10 minutes, 20 minutes, just take a walk by yourself. Have me time where you put your motherhood, whatever.
Aside.
It takes a village. Leave the baby with the dad, leave the baby with your mother, with the nanny. Take a walk. And then please remember, you're still a mother, you're still a sister, you're still a friend. Reach out to fellow friends. Have times when you go out, even if it's one day, talk to a friend. Something that's not baby related. To just connect with that part of yourself. And then make yourself feel good. Make your hair. Make your nails. Go make your face. In the morning when you wake up, if you're those people who like just putting eyelash, whatever, just do it. It's okay to, even though you're not going anywhere. There's just something about feeling good. Dress up, like wear that nice dress. And sit, and have fun. And then look for things that you like. If you like listening to podcasts, listen as you're breastfeeding. You can listen to a podcast. You can listen to music. You can put candles and scents and things that make you feel good. All that thing. Spoil yourself. Every day do something that's spoiling yourself. And that will make you feel much better.
I feel like also maybe to add on to that, even for partners, you can take your wife on a date. Tell her, babe, dress up today. We are going on a date and no baby, no nothing. It's just us.
100%. Reconnect to that side of you that makes you feel centered.
All right. So how can partners or family members better support a mother during this stage?
So things that mama doesn't need to do, take that. So, pop the baby, change the baby. There's nothing as moms tell me they're so resentful when the dad wakes up and says, the baby didn't cry tonight.
You feel like slapping him because you woke up like 5 times in the night and you're like, what do you mean?
What do you mean the baby slept through the night?
You slept through the night.
Yeah. So I'm like, just offer and say, okay, I'll sleep from, because dad still need to sleep. Maybe they're going back to work. So you can say, okay, I'll sleep from 10 to 1 a.m. or to 2 a.m. Please wake me up. And I can watch the baby as you also get some rest. That just shared.
Yeah.
It really helps the mom feel good. So anything that the mom, so that supporting breastfeeding. And especially for partners and dads, I say the pressure that comes from people. Sometimes it's a mom even very willing to exclusively breastfeed. I know like my sister has twins. And because she had twin boys, people were like, no, there's no way that you can breastfeed twins. So they'd even come and make malenge. But
for the baby.
Wow. But my brother-in-law was like, no, we are doing exclusive breastfeeding. And then they'll be like, what? He's like, these babies are only breastfeeding. And because he's the man, we're still very paternal.
Yeah.
Because he has said it, people would just back off.
Yeah, and
and respect that. So as the dad of this baby, like support whatever feeding journey, like that, especially the breastfeeding journey. Studies have shown that when dads become the voice of breastfeeding in a home, breastfeeding is more successful because then the mom, you're going to make sure she has good food, she has good support, she's you're there, you're cheering her on. Even those nights, like I remember my husband would just come and I would sit in the sitting room feeding and he would come and sleep next to me over there. I'm here. Or every time he'll be like, when the baby wakes up, just let me pass the baby to you. It meant so much. He didn't even, he'll go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But just him taking the baby and giving me the baby and then changing the baby and then saying, I've changed the baby here, breastfeed. That keeps you going. True. And you're not resentful because you're getting that oxytocin that helps milk to flow. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wonderful. On to our last question. If a mother listening right now feels overwhelmed, what would you want her to know?
I would like to let her know that it's normal to feel overwhelmed. This is the craziest roller coaster of life. Having a child, and it is, oh my gosh. And when you get your baby, 2 people are born, the baby and the mother. And even if you've had a child before, then you're now a mother of 2. That's a different person.
Yeah.
So we actually change. Our personality actually changes. Something new is birthed in you, and that can be overwhelming as you figure out the baby and then as you figure the new you. So the thing is, it's normal to feel that way, but you don't have to do this alone. As I said, look for opportunities to talk. Let's grow that space. Look, where can I find people? In fact, I love the mom support groups. Join a mom support group.
Yeah.
Join a places where you can talk. Join a solidarity. There are other people pregnant in your life in your circle that you can work together. And ultimately, if it's becoming too much, look for talk therapy, talk to your gyna, talk to, as I said, counseling centers. And half of them you don't have to pay.
Yeah.
So you can actually seek and get the help that you need.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Esther.
You're so welcome.
This was so much fun and so much insightful. I'll give you a minute to talk to our audience, tell them about your work and your services and how they can reach you if they are ever in need of your services.
Okay. So,
talk to this camera. Yeah.
As I mentioned, I support moms from pregnancy, through birth, through the postpartum period. So you can talk to me. You can follow me on Esther the Doula, all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and you can be able to see what I do there. So excited to have been there. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much also for sharing your insight with our audience. Yeah. I'm pretty sure if you've watched this episode, whether you're an expecting mom or you're a mom with a newborn, I'm sure this episode has been quite helpful. Or even if you're a mom or someone who's planning to get a baby in future, this episode has been quite helpful. So for a few closing points, your body carried life. It deserves patience. Healing isn't linear. And finally, you are not broken. You are just someone who's going through a new phase of life, and I'm pretty sure you're going to overcome, because we overcame, and you can overcome too. If you haven't yet, please do follow us on Instagram and on TikTok. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button before this episode ends. And if everything we've said resonates, please do share it. Don't be selfish. Share this information with other women out there, because I'm pretty sure it will be helpful. Thank you so much, everybody, and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.